everybody, welcome back to That Fiction Life. Today we are talking about the Discovery of Witches TV show. This franchise has absolutely taken over my life. I've watched it twice through, just saying. No, I don't have a problem. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of these episode updates and discussions that I do. Today we're talking about 124. If you have not watched this show yet or read the books, let me tell you a quick spoilers-free section. So this TV show follows a witch and a vampire trying to figure out why the species are dying out. And that is sort of the overlying arc. There's of course a whole load of romance because, surprise, surprise, it is forbidden to have an interspecies relationship, and guess what happens? There's a special book that seems to hold all the answers that Diana Bishop is able to take out of the Bodleian Library at Oxford. And every other creature is now looking for this book, including the congregation, which is sort of the government of the creatures. I have a full review of the book, so if you have read the book and want to hear my full thoughts, there's a very in-depth video. I'll link that down below if you want to check it out. But now we're going to talk about episodes 1 to 4, one by one, very quickly. I'll put timings in the description if you want to skip to a certain episode, but there will be spoilers from now on, so, you know, watch it at your own risk and all that. So episode 1, we go straight to the point and we get to see Teresa Palmer doing her magic. I am so shook at this casting choice. Teresa Palmer is an actual angel when it comes to acting. I've loved her for many years. Her chemistry with Matthew Good is off the charts. I'm living for it. It is probably my favourite part of the show. Who's surprised? I get very hardcore with my ships, so when you get two ideal castings for one of the best ships in the whole of literature. So in the first lecture that Diana gives in the Bodleian, I love that set so much. It is so aesthetically pleasing for a book reader. That scene with the lecture, the lady in the audience, did you see she was sitting next to Gillian, who we'll get to in a second? That is Deborah Harkness, the author of the book. I love author cameos. You know, it's that little bit of hi to the book lovers. I love this sort of eerie feeling that you get, and I like that with paranormal shows because sometimes they normalise these things too much. And obviously the show has demons and witches and vampires. You want to feel like you're in a surreal kind of world, and everything from the mood and the music flows so well together. Cinematography is absolutely stunning. From seeing Oxford, the way every scene is set out, you can just tell that there's so much thought that went into this. So the actor playing Marcus is Edward Bluemel. I am deceased. He is the most epic casting for me from this whole entire show because I didn't think they could nail Marcus this well. People have been saying that he's meant to have blonde hair in the books. I didn't even notice. He was that stellar that I didn't care if he looks exactly like what the books described to us. That scene with his friend where he attempts to turn him into a vampire was a really great addition. That was not in the book. But when I think about it, this whole failing to sire a vampire is actually a very good way to showcase as to why the creatures could be diminishing, because in the books I never actually thought to sit and think about how creatures can be diminishing, and this inability to not make vampires is a very good way to explain that. The feeling that we have when Diana first opens the Ashmole 782 was magnificent. You could feel the magic seeping through the pages so easily because, I mean, they do bloody go into her hand, which was so well directed, and the CGI was brilliant in that scene. It wasn't in some of the other scenes. When Diana smashes the window onto Nox's face, I can't remember what episode exactly that was. That was so funny to me because it looked so fake. It did not look like glass. So then we get Matthew pretty much stalking Diana all around Oxford. That scene in the library where she's looking for books and one falls over the banister and he catches it. That scene happened to me. I went to this Sky thing where they had the set of the show and they had virtual reality. I did it, you know, there was a scene with Matthew where the book falls over the banister and then he gives her his business card. I didn't think that was a real scene because I hadn't seen the show yet, so watching Diana experience this, having actually been inside that scene myself, was so epic. And I kind of forgot I was watching the show at this point. Because this is an adaptation, of course we had to get some kind of extra content because the book is primarily from Diana's point of view. I love that we meet Satu now She's so evil, you can just see in her eyes. She doesn't even have to speak. You know that she's up to no good. Knox is everything. I love this actor so much. Matthew Good really has this presence about him. I don't know what it is, but he feels immortal. I knew that he could do it, okay, because I've seen him in a lot of things and I was so excited to see him in this role. But he just blew me away beyond my wildest expectations. My favourite performance, I think, is definitely from him because he doesn't feel like a stalker. I know he's definitely stalking her, but he has this really great presence about him and he makes Matthew feel very deep as a character. The ending of this episode was goals. When we see him, you know, following Diana again, when she's putting back her canoe thingy, he gets a whiff, as you do, you know? Very stereotypical vampire scene, but I love it because it gives you so many feels for your ships. Go, but don't run. My fangirl heart died, you know, RIP to me. So those are my thoughts on episode 1. We're gonna go straight into episode 2 because so much more happened. So we meet Hamish, love him. I love the demons in this world, but Diana getting haunted by spiders right at the beginning, I'm not about that life. And this whole segment isn't in the book. I feel as though it does waste a little bit of screen time that they could have had, and more exploration of their relationship. Could have snuck in some scenes of them meeting a bit more rather than just seeing her see some spiders crawling. So Gillian is ew. She is the Pettigrew of this franchise, I'm just gonna say it. She did not have this much screen time in the books. Is it called screen time if it's in a book? No, it's not. I barely even remember her existing in the books. Why she got such a prominent part in the series, I do not know. I mean, I love the actress. I know her from Sherlock. She was bae. But in this show, I can't even pretend to like her because she's just a bitch. So this is the episode where we got the wrist kiss, and in my little notes, I just wrote wrist kiss in capital letters because it was everything. So obviously we do not have a lot of their dates in the series that we had in the books, which is actually such a shame because they were my favourite parts and we got to see their relationship develop. Even though it was hella insta love, there was this element of them going to see each other way more. So that wrist kiss episode I feel like was the pivotal point where, you know, you saw the twinkle in both of their eyes. So I feel as though this episode gave us the least information, so I don't have too much to say about it, so I'm going to move swiftly onto episode 3, where we have Gillian following Diana around, trying to explain Diana and just fake her way through life as she does, as to why she was a betraying, basically just pointless character, pretty much. She feels so submissive in the show, which I didn't imagine in the books. In the books I kind of just imagined her being evil just because she is, and didn't have this sort of empathy for her because you kind of want to feel sorry for her. She's being so manipulated by Knox and Satu and this head witch, whatever her name is. But I didn't feel that in the books, and I don't know how I feel about it just yet because I don't want them to drag out her character too much and give her this sort of forgiving arc. When she calls Matthew that in front of Diana and Diana's like, bitch, I'm gonna get in his car because I'm not spending any more time with you. And she gets all sassy and Matthew tries to open the door. I can open my own door. Yes, I know you can, girl, because you're a powerful, independent woman / witch, and we love you for it. So going round Matthew's house, I am such a history buff, so all these books that Diana was taking out, I love that little bit where Matthew tells her to just chill with her adrenaline because it was making him cray. Hi, feels fangirl death happening over here. So we meet Sophie in this episode, which completely threw me, and for a very silly reason. See, I know that this is a modern series. When we first meet Sophie in the books, I imagined her and her husband, boyfriend, to be in medieval clothes as if they just kind of time walked over to New York and say hello. I don't know where I got this idea from, I just imagined them, but they're just normal people having a baby, and I just found that so funny. And that's not to say that I actually believe that was happening, but straight away when we meet them, that's the image I had and I couldn't unsee it. I like that we meet them before because I totally had trust issues with Sophie right at the end of the book. I feel as though now that we've met them, we can get to know her way more. I found it hilarious that Imagine Dragons started playing demons right when we get to their house and meet them for the first time. I love the extra Marcus scenes we're getting where we see him and Diana bond, where he asks to take her blood so they can investigate, and then Matthew swoops in. If anyone's going to take her blood, it's going to be me. book feels. That felt exactly like it does in the books. It gave you that really intense vampire prey feeling. Hi. Then we get Matthew's and Diana's first date. First and only date before they rush off to France together. When Knox first comes to her house, it was a bit like, oh, Matthew's so gonna come and save you right now, isn't he? And he did. We get so much more in depth into the congregation, which, as I mentioned before, we get so much backstory that we didn't get in the books. But I liked meeting the congregation and finding out what they actually do and how their meetings go. More of that in episode 4. This episode ended with the witch wind. Diana is such a badass. I will never get over how much I love her character, and Matthew coming in and getting her to not die from using too much of her power was everything. And then we see Marcus coming in to check up on her. After that, just so many feels in the show. I feel like a lot of people want to say that this is very cheesy, but I am just taking it all in because I ship these people so hard. And then when Matthew said he's taking her home, they run together into the night, holding hands. It's like, oh my god. Someone fan me because this is too much. I almost wish that we got to see more of their dates because this is way too fast. And I know this is purely because we do only have 8 episodes to make them fall in love, get through the whole plot. Whereas in a traditional TV show that has 20 plus episodes, we would have seen a more gradual romance. But I wish they did some kind of highlight reel or like a montage of them going to the yoga classes that they do in the books. More of their dinners, at least one more date. You couldn't give me that, you know, get rid of those freaky spider crawling scenes. But you know, here we are. Episode 4 is in France. This is my favourite episode so far, I think, because France was just my favourite segment in the books. And the Septual House is the vampire dungeon of my dreams. It is so stunning. So Baldwin, hi, I loved him in the book, and in this TV show he pretty much outs his brother. I'd like to congratulate myself on predicting that when I was reviewing the book, because when I read the book I totally thought he was going to rat them out at some point, and here we are in the TV show doing just that. So go me. The horse riding scene in Septual was so much like an Outlander scene. It felt very medieval. They were just going over the hills. I was like, hi, Jamie and Claire, where are you? The congregation meeting scene was the funniest thing to me. The way they're just all on their phones, probably tweeting away or whatever they're doing, it felt so modern to me. And again, this whole thing where I know this is a modern book, but I choose to ignore that and I see everything as medieval. I don't know. I love Miriam. I have not talked about her yet in this video, which is a sin, but she is absolutely everything. Her and Marcus just have this very good team feeling going on. So they do have a few disagreements, as you do, but I just feel like they're really good friends deep down, and I'm loving their scenes together. So we meet Isabeau in this episode. Some people are complaining that she is older than she is in the books, but she's magnificent. The way she's portrayed her distrust of Diana is brought forward so well that their scene in the office where they start to bond felt very real, and those scenes were genius. The dancing scene was so cute. We see them being a family and you could see their love. I think it is coming across so well. Their chemistry is just amazing. Wish we have some witchy powers going on, so we get to see that Diana might be some kind of magical prodigy, which we don't know yet at this point in the series, until we get to the witch tears, which is basically now. Satu and Knox having these very menacing scenes in between I think work very well to give the show a very dark mood and to distract us from the whole forbidden romance that's going on. The ending broke me. See, the thing is, we all know this is a fake breakup. When the tears start coming and she begs him to stay and he just runs off back to England, I felt that deep within. I am just loving what they're doing with the show. That is all I'm going to say because I don't want to bore you to death talking about how much I love Matthew Good. The cast is the best thing about this TV show for sure. I like the way it's portrayed and it's very faithful to the book. I just wish that we got more scenes with Diana and Matthew to see their relationship develop a little bit more. Why is Gillian still alive? That is a key point that I'd like to say. I'm loving Isabeau, I'm loving Marta as well. So that's what I'm going to say. I can't wait to review episode 5 based on the book, some bad things are coming. I'm very intrigued to how they're going to portray some of this. I hope they don't cut anything too important out. This is Sky, okay? So they can go to some dark places, and I don't want them to romanticize it too much, but I have very high hopes based on this so far. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. You can subscribe right here on this button, and my last video is just there. And also check out my review of the book. There is a spoiler-free section at the start. I will link it all down below. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!